All right, welcome back, everybody. This is episode 41 of the Junto. I'm glad that in this new studio, it is a little more forgiving with my hair, because with the white background, sometimes I would look back at the video and my hair would just be really, very noticeably askew, and I don't know how to make it look good, so it's really just luck, and now it's a little more forgiving, so that's good. Anyway, yeah, things are interesting now that I'm getting back into the show. I was really feeling like unsure. So much has changed, and it feels like it's changing every day since my confirmation, which was just over a month ago, a few days over a month ago in the Catholic Church. And that has, yeah, I found myself over those few weeks where I was moving and not really doing the show, kind of wondering how to even go forward with the show. It's not like I was worried about doing it or coming up with things to talk about, but I felt like things had become so shaken in my own internal life, but not shaken in a way where they were unstable, just shaken in a way where they were changed. Everything was in a different place. And that is still how I feel. And there's a type of listlessness that I felt today with it where, I don't know, I'm kind of, it feels like I'm being called to pray like all the time. And I'm not praying all the time, but I'm praying increasingly often throughout the day. And it is hard to do. Well, I don't do it every time I feel like I should do it, because it is kind of hard to bring yourself to do that in the middle of the day or when you're just unsure of what to do. But I don't know. I just keep experiencing these feelings of not really knowing what to do and needing to, I don't know. I'm moving through it every day, basically. So today I was running some errands and I got a key copied and I took a walk in a cemetery because I was just kind of like, after I got the key copied, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. There's so many places I could go. Even if I'm just going to pray right now, there's a bunch of different places I could go and do that. And ultimately, there's a cemetery across the street. So I just went in there. I hadn't been in this one in a while. And I prayed in the cemetery, and then I walked around and I saw, I don't know, I'm glad that I wound up in there, because you see all these old headstones, and I'm in New England, so some of these people were born in the 1700s, and I was just really struck by the beauty of a lot of the stones, as if I was in a museum, or it was reminding me of some recent visits to the RISD Museum in Providence, where it's a college museum, but it's not for the college students' art or anything. I think they have a section for that, maybe, but I think I just point that out because it's a common misconception with people who live around here. It's actually, I mean, they've got like Egyptian sarcophagi in there and all sorts of historical artifacts, historical art. So it's like a real art and history museum. And so I got that feeling of looking at incredible artifacts, just being in that cemetery and looking at some of the art that was on the stones. And there were these line drawings of a tree with drooping branches, sort of like a willow tree. And there was lichen growing just in the leaf parts of that tree engraving. And it just looked so amazing. Anyway, I also saw there was this can be, I guess it's sad to talk about a child who died, but this was 200 years ago, so I feel like it's fine. I saw the headstone of a boy named Almond, and that was cute, but I don't think he lived very long, as I recall. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just kind of every day still, I don't know. I've spent so much of my life kind of overcoming existential situations and grounding myself in a way where I could live better and better and feel more and more alive, essentially, is really what I mean by that. Like, I felt like my life was becoming increasingly enriched, and like, as I freed myself from my depression and from my anxiety and from my nutritional deficiencies and all of these issues I had over the course of my life. And now I definitely don't feel like I've gone back at all. I feel like I'm in a whole new phase of discovery and finalization in a way of all of those things. And I don't think it's going to be final in a like true sense. I don't think I'm headed to, I mean, I hope I'm not about to die or anything, but even then I don't think that is final. But I I don't know. It's interesting. This feeling, there's a feeling I've been getting, especially at Mass recently, where I have been. So I've been thinking a lot about the image of fire and the purification of fire. And this was brought up recently at, I don't know if I have my little notebook. Oh, well. It was brought up recently at Mass, and it describes the feeling I've been having the past few days at Mass, where it's just this feeling of, I mean, it feels like burning inside you. It feels like a type of discomfort, but like a purifying discomfort. Or the reason I say purifying is it's like, I talk often about fasting on the show, fasting from things like your phone or from distractions or habits, just to see what you're like without those habits, without the phone, without the common distractions. And it's sort of a similar feeling where it's like, if you're fasting, say from food, and you start getting hungry, and then that hunger persists and it grows in intensity. It's sort of like that feeling, but just, I think in the case of Mass, it's because, well, fundamentally, I think it is hard to pray. I think we're raised in a society where it is very difficult it is unintuitive to spend your time in prayer the way that we're raised in this world, and the way that the world encourages us to exist. And so when you go to Mass and you are Christian, there is suddenly you're locked in and you have to pray. The Mass is a prayer, essentially. And so, and the Mass isn't short. I mean, the daily Mass is only 35 minutes, I guess. Some are even faster than that. However, you are locked in, and parts of you kind of start to panic. And suddenly you're in this controlled environment where you can't distract yourself, and you can in certain ways, but you can't in other ways. Like, I'm certainly not going to go on my phone or get up or take a walk or anything. I can only be distracted by the thoughts in my mind, and even those are constantly being called back to my attention's constantly being called back to the priest in the Mass and the action of the Mass. So I wind up sort of strapped into this particular type of fasting situation, perhaps, where suddenly all those parts of me that want to be distracted, it feels like they are burning, and it feels like they are being destroyed. And one way that I've imagined this is like all of that is wooden scaffolding and buttressing supporting the structure that is myself. And say I'm a stone cathedral in this analogy. Like, I might, a lot of the stone is going to survive the fire, and yet everything around it is engulfed in flame. The whole thing is engulfed in flame until all of this stuff that I've built up around me is burned away entirely. And that is a feeling that I get at least a little bit every day. And it's a feeling that I am trying to figure out how to sit in. And that's why I say that I feel like I'm being called to pray more and more, because I think that is how to keep the fire going. It's how to actually remove all of that gunk and unnecessary stuff that's in the way, stuff that's just blocking me from really living and blocking me from the fullness of life. There was another quote that I saw today. I think it was in the Gospel of John. I'll just search it real quick because I'd like to get it right. Quote. Something about living waters within you. All right, hang on a moment. So, okay, so yeah, it was John 7:37. I was just skimming through, and I saw this. Now, on the last day, the great day of the feast, Jesus stood and cried, saying, "If any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, from within him shall flow rivers of living water." But this spake he of the Spirit, which they that believed on him were to receive, for the Spirit was not yet given, because Jesus was not yet glorified. But anyway, I just want to focus on this one particular sentence. He that believeth in me, as the scripture hath said, from within him shall flow rivers of living water. And that image, I just kind of sat with that image for a while thinking about it. And like, how many of you out there feel like you are full of rivers of living water? Like, that's what your life force feels like. That's what your way of living feels like. I really think that's not the norm in our society. I think we're all, as you know, if you watch the show, I think we're all pretty desensitized, alienated. We're anxious. We're maladapted to life itself. We are living in this abstracted version of life that is highly consumerist and superficial and hateful, and it breeds pain in people's lives, in your own life and in the lives of those people around you. So, you know, it feels like through this burning and through this purification, like, I do feel like I am increasingly full of living water, and that my life is, that's what I mean when I say my life is enriched. It's like I really feel like I see the natural world when I go out and sit in the grass, and I really understand the various parts of my psyche, increasingly so. And I really, you know, am improving my relationships with the other people in my life. And there's so much change that is happening. So, I don't know. I just want to share that. And the other thing I want to talk about today is this other YouTuber that I found who started making videos kind of around the same time that I started live streaming. So his name is Ryan Mac, M-A-K. His username is Ryan Mac CC, and or like that's the URL username thing. And I guess I can pull it up real quick. So this is his YouTube channel, and let's see. Oops. Let me fix this. Oh my god, Windows fucking sucks, man. I'm not used to it. It does such crazy things with Windows, ironically. It, you know, you'd think it's the namesake of the operating system, they would have the Windows be a little less annoying. But anyway, so this is a YouTuber that I found recently who I really like, and I am really interested in the work that he's doing. So I just want to talk about him for a minute. And I have to hop off kind of soon because in this new studio situation, for now, I have to be off at 9:30, and you know, we'll see what happens with that in the future. But anyway, so let me just pull this away for a second. Yes, I have been going to Adoration. Someone asked in the chat, and yeah. And yeah, Panes, Panes. That's it's more like Panes than Windows for sure. Anyway, yeah, if nothing else today, I just wanted to say basically to go check out this guy's videos because I think they're really interesting. Obviously, you know, he has the kind of I mean, you just got to do this for the algorithm. It obviously looks kind of clickbaity, but I think he is a really great person, and he's on an intense spiritual journey, and he has a highly analytic mind in a way that I think benefits is going to benefit a lot of people, and it seems like it's already benefiting a lot of people. It's benefiting me, certainly, because he yeah, I don't know, he's just he is, like I said, he's analyzing his introspective experience of, or his internal experience of the transformation that his Christianity has made in his life. And that is something that I'm like, it's interesting to watch his videos from my perspective for many reasons. I think honestly, well, today I started watching his videos and taking notes on them. I think I'm going to really analyze all the major ones anyway, because it really tessellates with the project that I'm undertaking, which is to understand the interaction of spiritual warfare with phone addiction and with our culture broadly, our cultural historical moment taken broadly. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess, yeah. So sorry, I'm just glancing at my notes here that I wrote earlier, but I wasn't writing them for a video. I was just writing them for myself to think about what he is doing. And yeah, he's just making the Bible about 21st century lived experience, and that is something I really support, and I think he is doing a great job. So check it out. And one thing that he said in one video was it was such a relief to hear it, because I think about this. So over the past decade of me like trying to cure my depression and childhood trauma and anxiety and all these issues that I had that were compounding and evolving, I like by the end of it, I came to think of, myself. This is before I was a Christian also, but the way that I came to understand it, I was thinking of it as these three pillars to self-sovereignty. Like I felt like I sort of had my sovereignty over myself back. I could, to a certain degree, and I certainly was in a whole new era of my life at that point. And the things that I came to analyze, or I reflected on how it came to be. And those three pillars were, one of them was to have a connection to God or to nature, is how it started, to the existential question of your experience on the earth. So that requires a journey. All of these pillars are things that you build and go on a journey to explore and understand in your own personal, particular circumstance. And we have a lot in common, especially, in all kinds of ways we have a lot in common, whether it be in the psychological realm or in the fact that we are all human in this particular situation, or, just humans on Earth to begin with, never mind humans in this technological moment in the 21st century. And anyway, so I kind of developed this framework, and the second pillar was this sense of knowing thyself. So knowing yourself means a variety of things, but I try to just bring it to the singular, particular sense of self that you have, which is I am this physical body. I am this particular psyche. I have these particular ways of relating to the social worlds that I exist in at all times. And so I can come to understand that body. I can come to understand, what food makes me feel a certain way, what exercise makes me feel a certain way, what makes me get sick, what prevents me from getting sick. There's all this stuff I could learn to use to keep myself well and healthy at that level. And then psychologically, there was all this stuff that I could learn about my past traumas and my past experiences sorry, things are just weird on the screen. So, knowing where you came from, essentially, like knowing how your family formed your psychological particularities, and knowing how traumatic events or positive events came to form you. All of that gives you a lot of freedom once you understand it, once you know thyself. And then the third one is this sense of understanding and analyzing your historical cultural situation, how it came to be, and especially how it forms modes of life for the people around you, how it perpetuates culture, how the culture is likely to change based on where it is now and based on how it got to that point. So, and that was sort of the last step for me. I always had a highly critical mind with respect to our culture. I did not want to participate in it in a conventional way. But it wasn't until I got into the historical causal realm of those things, like who particularly is in power, in what way, and where, and you start to, pull those threads and talk to people who study that kind of stuff, that grounded me in a whole new way. And that's kind of the name of the game I was doing. I was grounding myself. I was building a foundation for myself. And that was through knowledge of God and my existential position. That was through knowledge of where I came from and what I am materially and psychologically. And that was through understanding the society that I live in and what is happening in the world. So anyway, I bring that up because watching Ryan's videos last night, I was like, this is... I don't know. It's just very relatable, and it's just nice to see how someone else has gone through a journey. And I would say in certain ways he's further along than me in that, his prayer life is a lot deeper than mine. I only recently came around to Christianity. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, but the thing that was so relieving to see was he brought up this well-known Bible verse from John 8:31. Jesus therefore said to those Jews that had believed him, if ye abide in my word, then are ye truly my disciples, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that he interpreted in a way that was a relief to me to see, because he connected it to how he had to resolve certain psychosocial coping mechanisms that he had in his life that were developed from an extremely young age, since ages younger than he could remember, but then were built upon through his whole life that he was aware of as a child and as an adult. Social things like being put down at a young age by a teacher, or things like that then can mold the way that you interact socially in general in all kinds of circumstances. And he points out that, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. There is a sense, like, there is truth to your existence that you need to uncover and need to understand. And that's the type of grounding that I was discussing. And yeah, so he brought it up in that sort of second pillar way that I would think of it. That's how I would think of it, the psychosocial realm. And I'm really curious to see where he heads with this channel, because to me, it's just so obvious that I mean, the society we live in is horrifying. It's totally like dominated by sin, to put it in a simplified term that maybe not everyone's going to understand, because that's not really how I would have thought of it a year ago. But we are just in a world that hurts people and begets the hurting of people. It is a world of hurt. Children are being traumatized every day. Parents are traumatizing themselves every day as well. It is a nightmarish realm for the human being on the planet. And so I'm curious if he will in the future apply that principle of ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, to our historical cultural situation, which is, okay, well, let's get to the truth of where are we now, and why are we here, and who has the power, and how did they get it. And we have to follow the money in every way possible. We have to use the resources that we have at hand to understand the situation while we can, and while we can communicate with each other easily. So yeah, I don't know, it's just good to see. Like, I am hoping to, and I have been hoping to see, I've been hoping to see something like his channel. And I hope to see many, many, many more things like his channel where lots of people are telling their story about overcoming the sins of the world, about overcoming this situation that we're in, and actually becoming someone who can live truth and live love in this world and create a more positive culture moving forward and start to take some power back from this hellish world. So, yeah, I don't know, just good to see, and I think that's where I'm going to call it because it's just about 9:30 here. Let me check out the comments real quick. Yeah, good to see you too, Hank. And what else we got? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will mention this. So, Jill Erickson says people get obsessed with Pillar 2 out of traumatic effect and will disregard 1 and 3, and then it gets commodified. And I think that is totally true. And it is, you need all three. There's no escape from all three. We're in a historical cultural situation. There's no getting out of it. We're in a universe. There's no getting out of it. Yes, you were traumatized as a child and probably at various points in your life, certainly by the society, but that's not the only thing. You have to grapple with your state as a human being in a universe. And for that, you need God at the end of the day. And you also need to grapple with the historical cultural situation, which is really a vital component that I'm hoping to get into a lot more as time goes on. And, I might even be able to do some call-ins this week. We'll see. I'm talking to a friend right now. I'm going to get back to him as soon as I hop off the air here. And, I just want to talk to people. So, yeah. Anyway, in the meantime, check out Ryan, pray for Ryan, and yeah, have a good day, everybody. I will catch you tomorrow if all goes according to plan. So see you later.